What's up everybody, my name is Brendan and this is BigBearB Creative. Welcome back to another how-to photography video today. Again, you know, typically it's all about landscape and nature and wildlife kind of stuff, so we're going to continue that with a little bit of a how-to kind of get that perfect exposed shot. So if you've been watching photographers on YouTube for a long time, you're undoubtedly has probably heard someone along the line has said that they have used photo bracketing to, not photo bracketing, but it is photo bracketing, but exposure bracketing to get their shot. Now, if you've heard this and you don't really know what it is, or they didn't really explain it, they just kind of said that they did it and then went on, I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about not photo bracketing, exposure bracketing. I do talk about photo bracketing in a blog post I posted on Thursday, so make sure you guys check that out. I'll link it down in the description box below if you guys want to take that read. And you could also subscribe to that blog as well. You'll get an email every time that I upload something, so check that out if you're interested in landscape photography blogs. But yeah, so specifically about exposure bracketing. I don't know why it's always so hard to say that. I keep only saying exposure photography. But yeah, exposure bracketing. So what is exposure bracketing? Well, exposure bracketing is basically if you have a scene that requires that requires you to take different level of exposures, meaning multiple shots, just to make sure that everything is properly exposed. So your highlights, your midtones, and your shadows. If you need to take 3, you take 3. If you just need exposed for the highlights and shadows, you just take 2. But it's definitely more than 1. So basically, photo bracketing is you're taking as many photos as you need to properly expose each of the elements of your photograph. So with exposure bracketing, basically you're going to take all these photos. You're going to have as many as, like I said, as many as you need, and you're basically going to think of them as one photo, because at the end of this whole step, that's what it's going to be, is just one photo that you're going to share and post and try to get as many likes and whatnot as possible. So yeah, so that's how you need to think about it. So now that you could really know what exposure bracketing is, how do you do it? So obviously you're going to need to find a composition that you like, and it could be of anything. For this example, since we do a lot of landscape photography here, I'm going to talk about a beach photography set. So not a set, but scene. So let's say you're on a beach, sunset's coming down with some beautiful colors in the sky, just the right kind of clouds, and the tide is just going out, leaving a nice reflection of that sky on the ground or on the sand. You want to capture that. But a lot of the issues that you're going to have, even with a long exposure, is either the sky is going to get blown out, or the ground is going to be too dark enough and you're not going to see that reflection. So when you're using exposure bracketing, you're basically going to take at least 2 photos that's going to expose for the sky, the highlights, and the ground, the shadow. So that way, when you go later and you combine those 2 photographs, you're going to have the best of both worlds. Now I said you could have more than just 2 photographs, depending on how many elements are in your actual final image, but that's all entirely depending on the composition. But that composition needs to stay exactly the same. So let's say again, we're at that beach. We found a nice little shot where the reflections are. You're going to use your tripod and make sure that tripod does not move at all. The camera cannot move. So you're going to tighten down everything you can tighten down. You're going to set all of your settings, and then you're going to choose whatever exposure you want to do first, either again for the highlight or for the shadow, and you're going to take that first one. This is the only time you're allowed to touch the camera now, is just to switch that exposure to the opposite of whatever you were at. So if it was the highlights, you're going to switch for the shadows for the highlights. That's the only time you touch the camera, which is probably why you should also be using a shutter release remote during this time, just so you can make sure that that camera is not moving at all. Because if the camera does move, that means things are not going to line up in your photographs, especially when you start stacking them. And if they don't line up, and if your photo editing software doesn't have an auto stack to where it lines them up, you're going to be out of luck there. You're going to have to go back to that place, take it again, and hopefully you have the same conditions. Or if it's a place that you had to travel somewhere to, you're kind of just going to be out of luck. So you need to make sure everything is tightened down on that tripod. It cannot move. So even the little bolt that, you know, you attach your camera to the tripod with that little clip, you're going to need to make sure that's as tightened down as possible to, again, to make sure nothing's moving. So that's really how you take the photo. You're going to have to choose your settings, choose your exposures. You're going to have 2 or more. Make sure the camera is not moving, and you're going to take those photos. Once you have all the photos that you need for that composition, the elements of your photo, You're gonna go home to your studio, your office, wherever it is that you do your work. You're gonna upload them all onto your computer, and then you can pull them into your photo editing software. And specifically here at BigBearB Creative, we use Luminar 3. I say we, it's just me, but the singular we use Luminar 3, and that's just because I prefer it over the Adobe suite that you have to pay multiple, or you have to pay monthly for all the things. So sure, you get the whole suite and you get everything, but with Luminar 3, it's a single payment, and this isn't sponsored, by the way. It's a single payment, and you could do all this in there, so you don't have to go from like a Photoshop to a Lightroom. If you could hear my dogs barking, it's probably because there's a squirrel or a chicken outside. We had a random chicken show up the other day. But yeah, so you're gonna upload them all there. You're going to stack, and you're going to start masking. It could be a luminosity mask, brush mask, gradient mask, whatever it is that you end up needing to use, that's what you're gonna use. And if you aren't quite sure what I mean there, you're going to have to subscribe, because as we do every Sunday, we do photo editing videos. I'm gonna show you how you can do this whole exposure bracketing, specifically in Luminar 3, but it's very similar with a bunch of other softwares. But I'm gonna show you how you do that on Sunday, so make sure you're hitting that subscribe button. If you have any other questions about exposure bracketing, kind of what you need to do, or if I didn't quite explain something as clearly as you need it, and I completely understand if I do that, because I kind of just ramble here and hope I cover everything. But yeah, so if you need anything else more explained, you can go down in the comment section, let me know. You could also go over to my social medias, which will display nicely here on the screen, and there will also be linked down in the description below. Message me there. I'd love to talk to you about this and kind of help you out and get better and all that kind of stuff. Also, make sure that if you like reading if you like learning about photography in general, go check out my blog. It's all about photography, landscape, nature, wildlife, all that kind of stuff. And I just released well, I don't remember if I said this on this take or not. I guess I'll find out when I'm editing over there. But I just released a entire photo bracketing how-to, what is it, and how it produces great photos. That's gonna be, I just posted out on Thursday, so yesterday for you guys watching this on the day this was released. If you're watching this after it was released, it was X many days ago. But yeah, like I said, I'll link that down below as well for you to check that out if you want to learn a little bit about other kind of bracketing and how you can get artsy, I guess, with your photographs, or to just make them look as good as possible. So while you're already there, go ahead and check out my website. I just kind of redid it. Let me know what you think about it. It was a lot more broad, but now specifically more about landscape, wildlife, and nature. And just checking that out could help you learn more about things like this exposure bracketing and other things like that with that blog. You could also order some photo prints of mine that we've all edited on this channel before and all that stuff like that. Also, you can check out my eco-conscious apparel that I have on there. It's really nice designs. It's graphic designs we've done here. If you've been around for a while, you've probably seen one of those videos. Yeah, so make sure you're checking those out if you're looking for any sort of eco-conscious apparel. But it's enough of me just trying to, you know, put other things in here. You're probably going to click off, but don't click off just yet, because I need you to hit that like button if you did learn something here. One, like I said, it just lets me know you're enjoying these, you're learning something. It also helps promote it to other people as well. And like I said, we do photo editing videos every Sunday. We're going to do one specifically about exposure bracketing. Yes, it is exposure photography. Yeah, we're going to do that on Sunday, so make sure you're subscribing so you can stick around to see that. And thank you guys for watching this video. Hope you guys have a great day. Be safe during this time, and go be creative.